Hey everyone, I'm Jack, and welcome to another episode of Digital Futures. Today we've got an incredibly practical topic that I know many of you have been asking about: how to actually start making money online. And I'm really excited to have Sarah with us today, who's been helping people build their online income streams for over 5 years. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jack. Really happy to be here and share what I've learned about the online income landscape.
Sarah, before we dive in, I think there's this big misconception that making money online is either super easy, the get rich quick promises, or it's completely impossible. What's your take on this?
That's actually a perfect place to start, Jack. The reality is somewhere in between. Making money online is absolutely possible, but it's more like building a traditional career. It takes time, effort, and the right approach.
I love that perspective. Let's start with what many consider the entry point: freelancing. You've helped numerous beginners start their freelancing journey. What makes it such a good starting point?
Freelancing is great because it has such a low barrier to entry. Almost everyone has some skill that can be monetized, whether it's writing, basic design, data entry, or even virtual assistants. The key is starting where you are.
But what about someone who's thinking, well, I don't have any special skills? What would you say to them?
You know what? I hear this concern all the time. But here's the thing. You probably have more marketable skills than you realize. Even if you're starting from scratch, platforms like Upwork or Fiverr have entry-level opportunities where you can learn while earning.
Could you give us a realistic picture of what someone might expect to earn when they're just starting out?
Sure, for beginners, you're typically looking at $10 to $20 an hour. Now, that might not sound like much to some people, but here's the exciting part. Once you build up reviews and a solid portfolio, those rates can jump to $50, $100, or even more per project.
Those numbers are really encouraging. But I'm curious, what's the typical timeline for someone to see that kind of progression in their rates?
It really depends on how much time you can invest and how quickly you can build quality work samples. I usually tell people to expect 3 to 6 months of consistent effort before seeing significant rate increases. The key is to over-deliver on those early projects to get strong reviews.
That makes sense. It's like building a digital reputation, right?
Exactly. And here's what's interesting. Once you build that reputation in one area, you can actually use those skills to branch out into creating digital products, which is where things get really exciting.
Ah, digital products. This is something I know our listeners are curious about. How does someone make that transition from freelancing to creating their own digital products?
Well, it's actually a natural progression. Let's say you're freelancing as a writer. You start noticing common questions or problems your clients have. That knowledge can be transformed into an ebook, a template package, or even an online course.
Could you give us a concrete example of how that might work?
Sure. I had a client who started as a freelance social media manager. After handling multiple client accounts, she created a bundle of Instagram post templates and a content planning guide. She now sells these for $27 each, creating passive income alongside her client work.
That's fascinating. But I have to ask, with so many digital products out there, how do you create something that actually sells?
The secret is solving a specific problem for a specific audience. Don't try to create a general how to make money online course. Instead, create something like Instagram templates for pet shop owners or email scripts for life coaches.
That kind of specificity definitely makes sense. What about the technical side of creating and selling these products? Is it complicated?
It's actually become much simpler. Platforms like Gumroad or Teachable handle all the technical aspects: payment processing, product delivery, everything. You just need to focus on creating valuable content.
And what's a realistic expectation for income from digital products when you're just starting out?
Start small. Your first product might only make a few $100s a month. But here's the beauty. Once it's created, that's passive income. You can keep improving it, create more products, and stack those income streams.
I love how you emphasize starting small but thinking long term. Speaking of building audiences, this seems like a perfect time to talk about content creation, especially YouTube. It's become such a huge platform for income generation.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is that YouTube actually complements everything we've discussed so far. It can showcase your freelance skills, promote your digital products, and become an income stream itself.
But there's this perception that YouTube is oversaturated. Is there still room for newcomers?
There's always room for authentic, valuable content. Look, you don't need millions of subscribers to make it worthwhile. I know creators with just 10,000 subscribers who make a decent income because they serve a specific niche really well.
Could you break down how someone actually makes money on YouTube? I think there's some confusion about this.
Sure, there are multiple revenue streams. First, there's ad revenue, but that shouldn't be your primary focus when starting. More importantly, there's affiliate marketing, sponsorships, and using your channel to drive traffic to your other offerings.
Can you give us an example of how these different revenue streams might work together?
Let's say you start a channel about productivity tools. You might make tutorial videos showing how to use different software. You earn affiliate commissions when viewers buy through your links. You can promote your own digital templates. And once you build an audience, productivity tool companies might sponsor your videos.
That's a really clear example. What about the initial investment needed? Do you need expensive equipment to start?
Not at all. A decent smartphone, basic lighting, even just good natural light, and a $20 microphone can get you started. Focus on providing value first. You can upgrade your equipment as you grow.
How long should someone expect to work at it before seeing results?
Be prepared for a 6 to 12 month runway. Consistency is key. I recommend starting with one video per week and really focusing on solving specific problems for your audience. The creators I see succeeding are the ones who stick with it through those early months.
That's really helpful perspective. As we discuss these different income streams, I'm noticing they all seem to build on each other, which brings us to something I'm really curious about: investment opportunities. How do you advise people to handle the money they're making from these various sources?
That's such an important point, Jack. Once you start generating income online, it's crucial to think about how to make that money work for you. This is where understanding basic investment options becomes really valuable.
Let's talk about those investment options. What should someone consider when they're starting to see consistent income from their online work?
First, I always recommend building an emergency fund, at least 3 to 6 months of expenses. Once that's in place, you can look at investment platforms like Robinhood or eToro, which have made investing much more accessible.
There's been a lot of buzz around crypto investments too. What's your take on that?
Cryptocurrency can be part of a diversified portfolio, but I recommend starting with more traditional investments first. Maybe allocate 5 to 10% of your investment budget to crypto once you understand the basics of investing and risk management.
That's a really balanced perspective. What about balancing reinvestment in your business versus personal investments?
Great question. I typically suggest the 40-40-20 rule. 40% for business reinvestment, 40% for personal investments, and 20% for immediate needs or emergency fund building. But these percentages can be adjusted based on your situation.
Since we've covered so much ground today, could you give our listeners a roadmap? Like, what should their first 3 steps be?
Absolutely. Step 1. Start freelancing in an area where you already have skills or can quickly develop them. Step 2. While freelancing, begin creating content or digital products based on your expertise. Step 3. Set up systems to save and invest a portion of your earnings from day one.
That's really actionable advice. What's the biggest mistake you see people make when starting their online income journey?
Trying to do everything at once. Pick one method, master it, then expand. Also, people often get caught up in buying expensive courses before they've even tried the basics. Start with free resources and reinvest once you're making money.
Such valuable insights, Sarah. For our listeners who want to start right away, what's one thing they can do today?
Today, create a profile on a freelancing platform. Just start. It doesn't have to be perfect. Look for small projects that match your current skills. Remember, every successful online entrepreneur started with that first small step.
This has been incredibly informative, Sarah. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
Thank you, Jack. And to everyone listening, the online income world has space for you. Start small, stay consistent, and keep learning. Your future self will thank you.
And that's all for today's episode. Remember to subscribe for more practical insights on building your digital future. Until next time.